Yeah. My question is, because I grew up in Albuquerque, what was there any cool places, anything that you liked being there? Like, how was it? Because it's my hometown. So I want to know, how'd you like it? Well, did you have fun there?
Yeah, I'd go and visit your mother once in a while.
Oh, that was a little mean. That's...
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up? Welcome to Brothers in Booze. Doug, there's nothing wrong with a good your mama joke. Just saying.
No, there isn't. That was excellent. I was not expecting that. I didn't know it was coming in a video, and then see it's Bryan Cranston, and then that just like delivery was.
It was like, I miss Walter White. I know you never saw Walter White, but
Nope.
But he's a good guy too. He's a good human.
Yeah,
that helps. And what also helps is having good humans, and we have a good human here for our guests. But we also have good humans who made this beer, as we already know.
Oh,
Giant Jones Golden Beer. It's a Belgian style ale, Doug. We are pairing cheese and beer. And we'll all share our stories when we get our guests on about how I came to my pairings and how you came to yours. You got expert advice.
Yep,
and
I
did it.
Yeah.
So that'll be great. But Doug, what's in your glass before? I assume that you're going to give us something and then wait for the cheese pairing, right?
That's correct. So
okay, cool.
One of the cheese pairings is going to have to go with an IPA. So I picked up an IPA from Local Liquid. It's from Steuben Brewing Company. They're out of upstate New York. Crooked Creek IPA. Now, as I told you in pre-production, there's no date on the bottom of this can, so I'm a little worried that this is going to be a little old. So we're gonna see. And and unfortunately, Daniel is going to be in there, and he's also lactose intolerant, so that poor guy can't participate in the cheese pairings. So and Passover for him. No beer either.
Double whammy.
Double whammy, dude.
Right. But it only Passover's done soon.
Yeah, but lactose intolerance is forever. So so looks okay. Smells okay. Now let's see if it that's pretty malty. It's not bad malty. Like some of his malty is really bad. It's actually drinkable. It's a little long in the tooth. So unfortunately for that. But did you pour yours? I think we both had this before though, this beer that you have.
The old Godel beer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Light hints of the Belgian style ale or the Belgian style yeast, but it's a nice, easy, crisp, light. We're almost getting the spring, or I think we're going to summer because next week's supposed to be 4 days of 70s in a row. So I think we went from winter to summer. So day coders are expensive.
Yeah. No, but we have a brewer telling us that, so now we know that for sure. So sorry.
Yeah, that's not. And especially with the compound things that breweries are going on now. Actually, we're going to ask our cheese lady about that too.
Yeah.
But Doug. It's still. I bought this a while ago. Oh no! Here we go. Look at this though. Is Jessica gonna like this? 7/4/22.
Wow. So yeah.
That's why they use a Sharpie.
Mm.
Yes.
I get that on crowlers when I get crowlers, but yeah, it makes sense to do it on the bottles at those take
This held up really well. I like it. It's great. Yeah, I got Giant Jones. Yes.
Yeah, I'm hopeful somebody's going to send me some of that soon.
You already got one of these.
I did, but I didn't get the rye wine.
Rye wine. No, you did not.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
And neither did I. I didn't get the rye. I mean, I have one. I just didn't drink it yet.
Yep.
And I was thinking about drinking it tonight, and maybe I will, because I'm gonna need something to pair these cheeses up. So, Doug, without further ado, we're going to bring on Sarah, the Curd Nerd. That's the name she gave herself, I'm pretty sure, right, Doug?
That's the business name, yeah. So it's great name for a cheese.
Well, I'm just making sure I'm not calling her anything she don't want to be called. I just met her, y'all, backstage. So Doug met her last week, so it's cool. So you want to make a good first impression, Doug. And I don't all the time, so I just wanted to make sure this time.
Yeah.
But Doug, so I'll let you say the nice things that we say about guests before we get them on.
Yeah, so this was somebody that I found on TikTok, believe it or not. I told her this when Joel and I first went up to their shop. And,
really?
Yeah, that's where I found them. And so we went up there, and so we met Sarah Simiele of the Curd Nerd, and their shop is fantastic. So yeah, why don't we bring on Sarah?
Does it look like a cheese place in Wisconsin?
I've never been to a cheese place in Wisconsin, so I don't know.
You saw one. I sent you one.
Oh yeah, but that was a grocery store you sent me of. That was like just an aisle of cheese. That's a whole different beast. Right. That's a grocery store. No, it doesn't look like that. It's much more quaint and small, but like the cheese is there's a bunch of specialized cheeses in there that I would never have even heard of.
Look, as you can tell, us Wisconsin people we're very defensive about our cheese, okay?
I'm not talking shit about Wisconsin cheese. I'm just describing Sarah's shop.
We're prickly about the cheese. Right. Jessica says even gas stations have cheese in Wisconsin.
Yeah. So yeah. So she's a cheesemonger, I guess, is the actual title that she has. She's shaking her head in the backstage. So I'm glad I got that right. So why don't we welcome Sarah Simiele to?
And I called her a nerd, so it's like we're calling her all kinds of names.
All right, welcome, Sarah.
Thanks for having me. I usually tell people you can call me the Curd Nerd, but calling me a nerd does make me feel like I'm back in high school.
And at some point, that might be you might want that. No, you get a little older, and you're like,
I'm not that offended by it. It makes me feel. But yes, the Curd Nerd is a self-appointed name for the shop originally, and now I have just become the Curd Nerd of the Curd Nerd.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. What's in your glass?
What is in my glass is Bière de Fleur by Buried Acorn. It is a mixed fermentation farmhouse ale aged in wine barrels.
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
I am a big, like, funky, weird person, and a friend of mine just dropped this off today, and she was like, "This is
fresh
and weird," and I was like, "Yes."
You have great friends.
Yeah, that is a good friend.
So, how does it taste, or did you pour it? Or you want to pour it here?
Yes, I poured it. I feel like I'm struggling with this background.
I love the glass.
Lovely. It's definitely. Oh, thank you. I asked my husband which cups to bring up, and I have 2 different cups for different items.
Depends on
great husband.
Check. Yeah, he's excellent. He's awesome, and he's definitely funky. It's got like you definitely get that like woodsy, oaky, wine barrel-y thing from it. Also like a tart. It doesn't actually say. It just says aged in wine barrels. I would, if I had to guess, I would say red wine barrels, just based on like it has
the
like
woody and oaky flavors, maybe.
Also to the like coloring.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had some of their other ones that I know are aged in white wine barrels that do not have that pink coloring to it.
Gotcha.
Definitely has like a little bit of a fruit note on it, more on the nose than it on the palate, but it is really delicious.
See, this is the thing. Now we have somebody who's like their whole life is like denoting color, like taste palettes and everything like that. So
Yeah, that's like all I do.
Mhm.
Usually I sound like I'm like a freaking doofus with how I'm describing a thing's taste. So I feel like, all right, maybe somebody can actually put it right.
And I think I should even know what I'm talking about, Doug, and I can't even get it out. What's up, Sarah?
It is my whole job, basically, though, to be able to like eat things and be like, this is the flavor you're getting.
And was that always something? Here we get to your origin story. Was that always? Did you see yourself where you're at now when you were younger?
No, actually, not even a little bit. I actually, my path. Everyone that I know in cheese has like a weird path to cheese. No one has been like, oh, I just like knew when I was a child I was going to be a cheesemonger. We're all like, oh, we did this other thing, and then realized we should be in cheese. I actually was going to school to become a doctor. I wanted to be a trauma surgeon, actually. I was in college studying pre-med, and a group of students were starting the cheese club at my university, and I was like, I would love to get in on that. And I helped them start the cheese club, and kind of from there I realized why would anybody want to go to medical school when you could do cheese? And I didn't look back for even like 1 second after that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's nice when you can find something that just kind of jumps right at you and works for you, you know?
Yeah, it was like a very
How old were you, Sarah?
I was 21. I was 20 club, and then I was 21 when I started working in cheese officially. So I was still in school, and I was just like, I went home for the summer, and I had to like sit down with my parents and be like, hey, I'm not going to go to medical school. I just applied to all these jobs to work in cheese professionally for the time being, and
yeah, and how'd that go?
Surprisingly, really great. My parents are very supportive people, but also you could tell, like in their like, we'll support you in whatever you do. They were also like,
okay,
sure, awesome. I twitching and everything.
Right.
Now they're like the proudest people on the planet. Like I don't know parents that are more proud of their kid than mine are of me. But at the time, it was definitely like
I'm sure. Yeah.
We will support her because we love her and we know she will make this work somehow. But we are a little nervous.
Right. And I have the reason I asked you this real quick is because I have, and Doug does too. We have teenagers, high teenagers, not high teenagers.
Well, maybe they are.
Age. Well, yeah, mine better not be. They're upstairs. Anyway, no, we have high age teenagers, meaning, you know what I mean? Like 18, 19 and 17. And my kids, just not putting it out there, they're completely clueless. So I just wanted to know when you figured it out, because Doug and I continue to talk about, as he has as he has kids, or offspring, we should say, that are like in their mid-20s. So he has some that have already made their choice. He has some that haven't made their choice. So it's just really, really interesting to talk to someone that, about, what time frame you came, because we get, Sarah, another thing too, is, as you know, we get pushed in this society to like make our decisions about who we want to be so early. It doesn't, that completely makes sense that you're like, hey, I'm going to be medical. And then you're like, not really. Once you jump in, it's just not your vibe. And, being a medical person, that's a really, that's really hard on you as far as like, you got to be a giver. I'm not saying you're not, but man, you got to, it's good. So I'm glad that you ended up where you're at, because you wouldn't have been here then if we didn't do that. So that's cool. That's cool.
I don't think that there's a right time actually to find out what you're
there is.
Life. I think you're totally right. I think even when I told everyone, I still feel like I was so young to have changed my mind, and people were like, are you sure you've always wanted to be a doctor? I'm like, yeah, my frontal lobe isn't even done developing yet. I've also always wanted to like backpack through Europe by myself. Like those are not things that I should be tied to for the rest of my life. Now, as older than that, I have no desire to backpack through Europe. I don't want to sleep in a hostel. I don't want.
That's funny. Sarah, this is a hilarious conversation. I'm sorry, Doug, but I literally told my youngest like 2 days ago, you need to backpack through Europe. And he just rolls his eyes at me and it's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, if you don't know what you want to do, I'm not saying backpacking Europe is your thing, but you should go out and experience when you don't have to, and then come back and you'll see the world differently. You're not going to see the world great under my. I mean, again, I do a good job as a dad, but like backpacking through Europe is an experience. That's something that no one can bring to you. You have to bring it to yourself.
I tell everyone I get interviewed a lot by like college students, and they're always like, how did you like make this big life-changing decision? And I'm like, I just let myself do things for fun in college. And they were like, what? And I was like, like, you have to go to class. Like that, I was great in class, went to all my classes, whatever. That's all fine. But like afterwards, like you can join all the stupid clubs and things you want. It's not like high school where like, oh, you're on that team. Like that's so embarrassing. I was like, it's college. Do the things that are going to make you happy, and like screw anyone who doesn't love it for you. Like I was like, just do stuff to find out what you like. And they were like, I really have never thought about joining things just because I like want to. And I was like, that's how I found out I have this like crazy passion and I'm very good at this thing that I do.
Well, that's also kind of speaking to the whole capitalism mindset and all that jazz too. It's like, hey, you need to be knowing how to do this, and it's just like I've worked in IT for 20 plus years. I didn't come out of I had a communications degree. Like that thing's worth the toilet paper that's in my bathroom now. Like your path isn't linear. And I keep trying to tell my kids that, like, Greg, you're doing the same thing. Your path isn't just, I know what I'm going to do. And some people stumble into that. Like you stumbled into something that really works for you, but that doesn't mean later on in life, you might decide, yeah, I'm good with that. I want to try something else. There's no boundary on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love, Doug, I said it a bunch of times. I love the story of Julia Child, who clearly everybody knows is this wonderful cook. She paved the way for Martha Stewart, Rachel Ray, all these cooks. That lady didn't start cooking until 50. So, like, 50. So, man, don't ever close the door on that, right, Sarah?
Absolutely not. I pick up new hobbies probably every other week. Just things to be happy about. Now,
you could get to 50 like me and not have any plan at all. So don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. Okay? You got it. Somewhere in between 21 and 50, got to do something. Anyway, go on, Doug.
All right. So I have a question. And Sarah, you say you pick up new hobbies. Are you one of these folks like neurodivergent style where you pick up a hobby and you deep dive the hell out of it and then you're just like, okay, now I'm done with that?
Yes.
A little bit. But also if I like spend a certain amount of money, I have like that little voice in the back of my head that's like, you have no choice but to keep doing this a little bit forever. And so I've got like I have hobbies that I have picked up that I like don't do all of the time, but then like I can knit pretty well, and so like every couple of months I'll be like, you have to just knit a scarf because you have yarn and you have to do something with it. And so like yes and no to answer that question.
Yeah, that's my wife. My wife does that. Yeah. Like she's like a research hound. She loves researching and finding all the stuff about it. And then she's like, okay, I learned all I need to learn about that. That's enough.
Right. Doug, you want to jump in? Should we jump in on the pairings?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to jump in. So
before our beers get a little bit warm, but there's a question for that for the monger, but I'll wait for that. Doug, y'all want to start?
I can start, or Sarah, do you want to start because you got your big ass bottle there?
Yeah.
So why don't you go and then I'll jump in after you and tell them what you told me to do because that's what I followed.
Absolutely. So because I do this regularly, I kind of was like, I'm going to grab a bunch of cheese because I know all the beers that I have at home and that I'm enjoying. I'm actually enjoying my like farmhouse with true Gruyere. So this is a Gruyere sur Choix. This is a like true actual Gruyere from Switzerland, made in the Alps. I picked this one because Gruyere is also a little funky and a little fruity, the same way I knew this beer was going to be a little funky and a little fruity. Mm-hmm. And when I'm doing pairings, I like to make them kind of approachable for a lot of people. And I think the best way to do that is to explain that there are two mindsets when making a pairing. You either want to compare flavors or contrast flavors. At least that's the way I've found is the best way to do it. And so when I'm like picking beers and cheeses, especially, I'm trying to think like what are going to be the like undertone notes in the beer that I could pull out with the cheese, or what's something that the beer has that I could contrast with the cheese. So if the beer's like super acidic and tart, I might want something that has like a little bit more of a full richness to it, or vice versa. Or if this beer is super acidic and tart, I might want a cheese that's super acidic and tart to play off of that. For this one, I've got that little funky, fruity thing going, and it is a lovely pairing.
Awesome. Doug?
All right. So when I was at the Curd Nerd, I asked Sarah specifically, listen, you're the expert. What should I pair with what beers? And so she recommended an IPA, which I have poured. Well, actually, she recommended an American Pale Ale, which I could not find. Like, for some reason, that was a really hard find because everybody makes IPAs. They don't make American Pale Ales, which is a little different. But she asked to pair it with this cheese, which is a great name for a cheese, Old Man Cheddar from Miranda Cheese Company. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So I had this at the shop. It's great by itself. So would you recommend drinking the beer first, or having the cheese before you pair it with the beer?
So I actually recommend the best way to taste a pairing is to have them both in your mouth at the same time and sort of make like a cheese beer slushy situation. That's the best way to taste a pairing.
All right, here we go.
I've never done that this way. Slushy. Okay.
It works.
Okay.
So that cheddar is not like your regular old orange cheddar you get at like the grocery store. I'm going to be bad at describing cheese because I'm not good at that sort of flavor profiling. I have a little experience with beer, but that really, like, there's almost a little tiny tang and sweetness to that Old Man Cheddar that really, like, I wished it was more hoppy, like, and not malty, and it would probably get that nice contrast of that hoppy, like almost bitter with the sweet and tang of the cheddar. But man, that cheese is freaking good.
It's delicious. It's pineapple is probably the flavor profile you really get from it. That like sweet tanginess. People are like, what is it? It's almost fruity, but not fruit. I don't know. I'm like, it's like it's that like pineapple acidity. The way like pineapple the way pineapple is like sweet, but also like activates your like salivary glands. New York style cheddars are like definitely in that range. So New York style cheddars are a little bit more acidic. People would call them sharper. I detest the word sharp because it doesn't mean anything. But
okay. We're learning. Keep going.
Sharp just doesn't actually like, because sharp means something different to everyone, so therefore it has no meaning. Because words that can be like different to everyone don't actually, like, there's no definition to them. And so sharp does have a meaning. It's like when you sharpen a knife, it's pointy and it could hurt you. Cheddar and cheese in general is not going to do that. Most time,
unless you're lactose intolerant.
Yeah, well, lactose intolerant cheddar is completely fine. Almost all cheddars are completely lactose free.
Oh,
why? I didn't know that.
So
I figured it was just cheese, and like cheese is just that's lactose in there.
I don't know why people think that. Truly, so the process of making cheese, you're converting lactose to lactic acid. Like that's what the cheese making process involves, and so most cheeses have lost almost all of their natural lactose pretty early on in the aging process. After about 3 months, almost all cheeses are virtually lactose free. Goudas are almost completely lactose free, like right away. If you had a Gouda 2 days old, it has nearly no lactose in it. The only cheeses to really stay away from if you're lactose intolerant are those like fresher cheeses that haven't aged at all. Things like fettas or mozzarella, things in that like super soft brie categories. Those still have some residual lactose, but it's still going to be a fraction of the amount of lactose in like a yogurt or a glass of milk.
Okay, that's something I didn't know. So look at that.
Right.
We're learning. Also,
Right.
this is really, even with it being malty, I'm still getting.
It's a good pairing. There's something about it.
So my story, y'all, is real quick. I did some research this week, Sarah.
Love it.
So that was fun. I made it almost all the way through this one, and then I didn't really do anything else because I knew I had beer, And then I live in Wisconsin, so I don't know. We got Jessica here. I don't know if anybody else lives in Wisconsin. Y'all want to chime in? Please chime in the comments and tell me if I'm wrong. But we just naturally have cheese. This is all the cheese that I just had in my house. Just sitting there. Like I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to like, you know what I mean? It just we live in Wisconsin, so it just naturally shows up. Now they're not the most. I mean, I got a cheddar and a mozzarella, and
the Hooks 1 year cheddar is great. Beamster is like such a big name in Gouda. You couldn't possibly talk bad about them. The Roth cheese is also really great, and they do win a lot of awards also.
Yeah.
You've got the LeClaire garlic and herb.
Yeah, it looks like a little like ghost cheese. Yeah.
Them also.
So yeah, I just had that, and I was like, I know I have cheese. So what I wanted to do was like put a pairing together, like impromptu. So your friends call your house and say, I'm going to be over in 10 minutes. You're like, shit, I got to put something together. So you like, go and find your beers and maybe, set up a little bit. I got some salami upstairs, got a little ham. So like I can make I think I got some grapes and maybe some, raspberries. I can make a quick tray. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I kind of wanted to do. When I realized Thursday that I wasn't going to get to the supermarket or anywhere, I'm like, no, you just do an impromptu one. That's good. So my impromptu one, Sarah, is this Belgian style ale from one of my favorite breweries, Giant Jones.
That's Jessica Jones. That's her brewery.
Don't you cut me off. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Jessica Jones, my great friend, she makes these beers, fabulous, but it's a Belgian style. So I was kind of like, wow, what can I do with Belgian? So I did the Gouda, and that was the first one. The Gouda didn't really, it mashed, but it didn't. Maybe I need to do it again. Now I have that Hooks cheddar that I didn't try.
Which one of the Goudas did you do? The Beamster or the Roth?
Actually, I don't think it was either one. Hold on, actually.
All right, so now he's gonna go over and grab it from the fridge. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes there about Jessica, but Jessica is a good friend of our show, and she makes great beer.
The impromptu. My son's gonna bring down the actual Gouda. I didn't open any of those. I had one upstairs, so I went upstairs and there was one open. We love Gouda here. It was great. He will bring that down to me, but it worked good because the Gouda was smooth and creamy, and this kind of brought out the fruity taste, but I need to do it again. But I don't know. I wouldn't say it was the best, but because I was like, wow, this is kind of weird. But I think another try will be good. And I think weird is good, right, Sarah, in this aspect? Or no?
Weird is great. Honestly, pairing is like a completely personal experience also. It's one of those things that whenever I teach like pairing classes, people are like, no, tell me exactly how it should pair. And I'm like, the thing is, my taste buds are my taste buds and not yours. And so no matter how great I think a pairing may be, there's going to be someone that doesn't like something.
Taste is objective and everything, right?
Taste is absolutely objective. I always make the statement also that like, I think the idea of tuna noodle casserole is disturbing, but I love a tuna melt, which is essentially the same thing at its core. We're talking cheese, tuna fish, carbs. And so
different kind of carb though. The carb makes a difference.
It's so personal though, like what you think is good and what you think is objectively not. Like, so pairings are very personal.
Okay.
So what do you think of that, Craig?
I thought it was good, but I wanted to ask Sarah what she thought is a good pairing for a Belgian style.
Belgian style. How full body are we talking on this Belgian style?
Jessica, how full body is this?
Like mouth, like in your mouth. How does it like? Is it like an overwhelming mouth feel? Does it sort of end quickly? Okay, so when I'm thinking,
hangs out a little bit. That Belgian.
So depending on the kind of Gouda, you described your Gouda as being smooth. So I'm going to assume it's on the younger side of things. I might still pair with the Gouda, but I would probably go with something in that aged Gouda range. So something in that 1 year plus, which is a very different flavor profile from the younger Goudas. You get that like more intense caramelized sweetness from an older Gouda. Like you get that like salted caramel, toffee kind of flavors that you don't get in a younger Gouda, where you get more of those milk flavors, which might be what's kind of stunting that Belgian. What you want to do is like open up the flavors in the Belgian with something that has some of those like stronger, bolder flavors. That is
Like
that
this cheddar.
Yes, something that is older and has more of that like sweetness.
Look at
to
its
it.
face.
Older cheddar.
Whoa.
Yeah, your face when you tried that was like boom.
This is rich
Yeah, you
and
want
creamy.
you
Mmm.
need something with like a bigger mouthfeel with a Belgian.
Gotcha.
Than,
Yes.
than
Now,
probably what a younger Gouda was doing.
this pops.
Yeah.
This pops. This didn't, the Gouda didn't pop. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't like, I mean, boom. And Doug and I, like, Sarah, everybody's palate's different. Doug and I like big hits of flavor. We like, boom. Doug likes literally a rainbow of flavor.
Yeah, I get made fun of for it. But...
Yeah, we make fun of him because he likes, beers with like 6 different adjuncts in it. Hey, man, people drink them. You go. But that adds depths of flavor, though, Sarah. You know what I'm saying? Are there any beer and cheese? There's so many parallels. I'm going to get to so many. I wanted to like, touch as many as possible. But is that like you? It seems like you have a good foundation of beer. Is cheese a lot like that? Tell everybody about that. Like as far as like having many different styles and many different flavors. People say they don't like cheese. You probably laugh when people say. Like people said to me and Doug that we don't like beer. You don't like beer, and we're like, you've only tried American light ales. You only tried Bud Light and Coors Light. And I told a story real quick, Sarah, literally 2 weeks ago about how I used to hate cheese. And what I found out was I hated American cheese. I thought American cheese was cheese, and that's it. So like, even growing up, I just, I knew there was cheddar out there, but I didn't know about like Gruyere and Gouda and feta, and I didn't know any of, and just the range, even Doug, even cottage cheese. Like the range is crazy, and I didn't know that. So I thought I didn't like cheese because of American, and a lot of people don't think they like beer because of Coors Light. Do you have any comments to any of that?
I am in 100% agreement. I do know a little bit about beer. I do teach beer and cheese pairing classes kind of on the regular here in Syracuse. So I've learned a lot from talking to brewers, but I would not call myself a beer expert in any way. Cheese, though, I do know what I'm talking about, and I do feel exactly the same way. Anytime anyone tells me they don't like cheese, I am like, there is no possible way, because that is saying you do not like any flavor profile on the planet, basically. Cheese sort of runs the gamut. It's probably one of the few foods. So like the way we can sort of categorize most beer, and I'm sure that there are still misfits that kind of don't belong to any category in the beer world. A lot of cheeses don't belong to any category. So we can't just be like, oh, I don't like all cheese. You just might not like cheddar or Goudas or soft cheeses, or you might not very specifically like thistle ripened sheep's milk cheeses from Portugal. To each their own, truly. There was a quote from I believe it was a prime minister. Someone in France said you can't govern a country that has over 300 cheeses. And that's like an actual like quote, and I am blanking on who said it. It was like a whole thing when it was said, but I have like always gone back to that because France actually has upwards of 700 different kinds of cheeses just coming out of France. And
Different styles, you mean?
Yeah, different unique cheeses. Probably somewhere over 700. And then there's a lot of controversy in the cheese world. And I'm sure it's similar in beer on like, can you call 2 of the same kind of cheese made at different locations the same cheese?
Yes.
And it's the same way, like, could you call two pale ales made from 2 different brewers the same beer? You wouldn't. You would say that's this brewery's pale ale and that's this brewery's pale ale.
I see what you're saying.
So there's the same, we have that same like kind of dilemma in cheese where we're like, well, they're both technically making brie, but the cows they use are different, and where they're grazing is different, and the process that they use is slightly different. And so, is that still the same cheese, or is that its own unique cheese?
It reminds me a bit of brewing when we talk about like different regions having different water, and the water matters greatly in how the flavor of the beer comes out.
Yeah.
Big word. Here comes a big word. Terroir.
Terroir, my favorite word. We use terroir all the time in cheese. And I think it was only recently, really, that people started associating terroir on a more global scale with other foods besides wine. Wine kind of got to steal the terroir world for a long time. And now I think beer and cheese are both kind of out here like, hey, we also rely on terroir.
Especially those sours that you like, Sarah.
Yes, 100%. Because a blueberry from Maine is a very different blueberry than one from New York.
That, and also the people with lambics, they with the lambics, especially in Belgium, they say, well, our air, you can't get that air in America, so it's not a lambic, Doug.
Mm-hmm. No, they're also very particular of styles in Europe. Let's be clear. Like when I was doing the class with our friends Krogs, and they were talking about just like the regions and the way they were so freaking specific, and like you can't have this style of beer if it's not here. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it, because the water is different there for a very specific reason, whether the mineral content's higher or whatever. But it was like kind of like, oh, you guys are really territorial about your things.
Well, and I don't think maybe Sarah agree with me, but I don't think it's all bullshit. I think it's just a scale, actually. Not bullshit, but like I think it's a scale. And I think it's about authenticity, right, Sarah? Or
Absolutely.
Uniqueness too, right? Right.
I think it's both, especially in cheese. So Europe is very particular about their cheese, and like very territorial of it, and as they should be, for very valid reasons. But we actually have I don't know how much of this translates to beer. It's more comparable to the wine world in the sense that, like, you know how like not all sparkling wine can be called champagne. You can only be champagne if it's from the Champagne region, all that jazz. Right. Same rules apply to certain cheeses. So Gruyere is actually one of them, a true Gruyere. So you can kind of see some of the words on there. It usually has like an AOP designation on there and stuff that would be on the rest of the label. Meaning that there is an entire set of laws determined on what makes this cheese. Not anyone could just call their cheese Gruyere. You have to meet the requirements of the AOP for this. So there's actually like 4 different kinds. There's a PDO, protection denomination of origin. There's a AOP, appellation of protection, AOC, appellation of control, and DOP, which is a designation of protection. So it just depends on what country you're in, what words you use are. But cheese has like an intense set of rules, and they get pretty specific. Some of the like DOP laws can be as specific as like what time of day you can milk your cows.
Wait, whoa, stop. I'm sorry to interrupt. I am sorry to interrupt. But you can't just slide that one in. Like, I don't think anybody's and I don't mean to do that. Anyway,
I will nerd out for like 2 seconds on this because I think this is one of the things about cheese people do not know. And this is why I am the Kirk nerd. So milk is like, cheese is the best way to taste milk, essentially, because milk in a glass is going to taste like milk basically at its core to us, no matter what kind of milk it is. I mean, you might taste some differences in a raw milk, like from a certain kind of breed, but you will not taste it in the same way as it is like exemplified into a cheese. And so cow's milk is like, or any ruminant milk, so sheep, goat, buffalo, reindeer, yak, whatever kind of cheese your animal, whatever kind of animal your cheese came from. This is like pretty much true across the board. Milk is different based on the breed of animal. It's different based on the cycle of lactation that animal is in. So if it is like in a week from birthing versus 2 months from having calved, there's going to be a huge variation in milk. And it's different time of day. So morning milk is going to have a different actual chemical composition than evening milk. just based on the like stress of the day, the heat temperature, how much the cow ate during the day, all of that stuff massively impacts cheese and milk specifically, because even the smallest amount of change in the fat or protein structure of a milk will change how that cheese can be made.
Now, I grew up in like rural Pennsylvania, and
Wow.
one of my friends his dad had a dairy farm, and I would help them sometimes, and they would milk twice a day. And it never occurred to me the idea that there would be a difference between those two milks because it's the same cows. Like I didn't even consider that.
Yeah, it's cheesemakers have to decide if they want to keep like milk supplies separate. So, are you gonna milk your herd twice a day? And if you're doing that, are you mixing that milk to make like a sort of a mixed milk situation? Because the composition is gonna be slightly different, but once you mix it, you've now changed the composition again to give you a completely different protein level. Are you gonna keep your milk separate and change your cheese making recipe from morning to night based on like how much of the enzymes you need to react with that amount of fat solids? Or are you like only milking once a day, but when you do that, you run the risk of like increased mastitis and things for your cows?
Yep.
And use milk if your animal has mastitis, so you just have to toss all that milk out.
Yep.
And so there's like a lot of like issues around milking and like cheese making that people kind of don't think about on a regular basis. And I mean, not that I think people should be thinking about this stuff on a regular basis, unless you're me, but
Sorry, you were skipping a bit there, Sarah, at the end. Unless you're me, that's the
sorry.
last thing No, it's okay.
Yeah, unless you're me, you might not want to
No.
think about this that much.
Okay. All right.
Wow, cheese is way finicky, Doug.
Yeah, and like all the chemistry is like kind of like that's way above my brain grade. Like
I like the bitch that beer is finicky.
Yeah.
Cheese. Wow. They both are kind of wow.
Yep.
I mean, Sarah, we're just, again, I'm sorry, Doug, but we just go into cheese places, especially here in Wisconsin. We take this crap for granted. I just buy things. We just go in to get beers. We don't worry about the labor that my friend Jessica Jones has to go through on a weekly basis to produce these wonderful beers as she does. And we don't understand the labor that you go through, making sure that all your ingredients apparently are in the right place at the right time. It's just crazy, Doug. I'm just blown away. And I need to go get my second beer, but this shit's crazy, Doug.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So how about we go into second pairing now that we're like 45 minutes in? Do you want to go first, Sarah?
I have a raspberry and lime tart lager.
From Jack's Abbey.
From Jack's Abbey in, I think, Massachusetts.
Yep, that's where they're from.
Yeah, that I actually have a Gouda here with. This has like a bright acidity to it, and the Gouda that I have is actually a sheep's milk Gouda from the Netherlands. I have these paired together because this is a little bit more full-bodied to kind of balance out that like tangy lime that I really get on the Ricky here. And together they give like a really nice full mouthfeel that I'm not like overwhelmed by how tart this hits the back of my throat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the tartness, like when I drink sours, I know you and I talked, you like sours. I am more of if I'm going to drink a sour, I want it to be tart. I don't want it to be sour. The sour like gets in my stomach and just is not making my tummy happy after that. So, yeah. So you would describe that as using the Gouda as kind of offset the tartness, right? So,
yeah.
All right. And it's interesting because Gouda, like I never think of like country of origin or any of that. Like it was interesting hearing about the Gruyere because like I get Gruyere and I never pay attention to where it's from. I just like, oh, Gruyere, and I'll put that in my mac and cheese or something like that. And I never think about like what it is. It was interesting because when you said Gruyere earlier, you didn't mention anything about nuttiness, which has always been kind of what I hear about Gruyere as being nutty. So maybe that's just a different type of Gruyere, or maybe I'm just wrong.
No, I try to avoid the word nuttiness unless I can identify what kind of nut I think it tastes like.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just because I think the same way sharp becomes like a catch-all term for cheddars, I think nuttiness just kind of became a catch-all term for like how to flavor a cheese.
Doug, it's like when we say fruity, and you and I will be like, no, it's apricot or it's straw. You know, you can't like
Yeah.
if you just say fruity, it's not. You know what I mean? That's what I think it is, right, Sarah?
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
cool. All right, Greg, do you want to go or you want me to?
So Sarah, you know what I have here as far as cheese,
Yeah.
and unless I want to go and open some things, which I can, or you tell me to because you saw what I had, I'm gonna stick with these, which is the 1 year cheddar, and then this Gouda that I'm trying to find out real quick here. Hold on. What did I?
This is professional production at its
No,
finest.
I'm into it.
Yeah, he wants to find out the thing. I'm really excited for the cheese I have next to pair with the sour that I have. So
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to show you 3 different styles of beer, and you tell me which will match up. You think with my sharp cheddar or my Gouda. So I have Doug. You'll see something. I have a barley wine aged in bourbon barrels. I have an
revolution.
oatmeal stout, and I have a big ass barrel aged dark ass stout.
I might try the oatmeal stout. Personally, I think it could go either way. Those like oatmeal flavors might play really well if that is a younger Gouda, which I'm thinking that it is, with those like milkier, brighter lactic notes you get, to almost give you like oatmeal with milk kind of vibe.
Got it.
Like breakfast.
Let's see
And
here.
remember to make the cheese beer slushy.
Oh, it's smoked Gouda. That's why. That is a completely different flavor profile. You can still go with that for the oatmeal though, because you might get like a bacon oatmeal breakfast situation.
Okay.
That I could see going well. But that does explain why it didn't taste good with the first beer.
Right. It was good, but it just didn't like pop. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Smoked beer has a very different flavor profile.
Okay, so you're saying the cheddar and the oatmeal stout.
No, I would actually try the smoked
Gouda
and go for
the Gouda in this.
Yeah, go for like a flavor profile. I would have in mind is smoky bacon and like full breakfast.
Okay. Y'all do yours, and I need to go get a glass. I'll be.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna do something from a raspberry sour. You said a berry sour.
Yes.
This is from Young Lion Brewing Company, a woman-owned brewery, and that was part of the reason. And I wish I would have known they were woman-owned when we were doing last month with International Women's Thing. This is from Canandaigua, New York.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to pour that. Whew. That's going to be tart. Very tart. I could smell it. So you can see it's got this nice color with the raspberries. And you recommended this, which is Lumberjack Boucheron.
Yes.
So this is one of the coolest looking cheeses, folks. It looks like a cut log. Like, I love how this looks. It just looks like a cut log, and like even like the sides look like bark. So it's a softer cheese, right? That's how I would think of it. Not like brie, not like that soft, but
No, absolutely. It is it is still in that bloomy rinded family, so in that like softer cheese. It's a goat's milk, so it's not going to get soft the same way that a cow's milk cheese would, which is traditionally what brie is made from. I went with this because I love berry sours and goat cheese. First of all, I like goat cheese and berries on their own. I think you've got like a tart, sweet kind of thing happening there. Tart sours, tart cheese. You get this like lemon zest, raspberries. If you're going with a raspberry sour, you're gonna get this like full Almost like a fruit salad tossed in lemon juice kind of vibe.
Delicious.
That is absolutely stunningly good. Like that is so good, Greg. Like this thing is like super creamy, and then you mix it like it's sweet and creamy, and you just combine it with this nice tart raspberry sour. It's fucking amazing. This is like Jill and I's favorite cheese when we went up there. We bought that the first time we were up there. And we bought, what was the other one? The other one is it's like a rounded one. It had a blue label, and I can't remember what it was called.
Rounded one, blue label.
It's a similar name to this, but it wasn't.
Oh, was it the Harbison?
Harbison? That's what it
Yes.
is.
Yeah, obsessed with the Harbison.
And you had like I want to say that when we were at her shop, she had a March Madness for cheese.
Yes.
And unfortunately, this one didn't win. But Jill was like, "How did that not win?" And Sarah was like, "I know. I was secretly hoping for that one."
Yeah, I'm happy the way the March Madness turned out. The people voted, loved their votes. Not how I would have voted, but I love and respect it anyway.
God. So yeah, don't worry, Sarah. You are, of course, correct because you're an expert. So this is a big oatmeal style, if that makes sense, as far as like big roastiness.
Yeah.
And what it's bringing out of the Gouda is the smoke. And the Gouda was a little bit, so the Belgian didn't bring out the smoke at all. In fact, it probably, I feel, almost squelched the smoke. I didn't even really get any smoke out of the Belgian when I was doing the Gouda. Now, again, I went over to this, and that was bagging. That was great. So now on this one, it's great because even when you put the Gouda in your mouth first, or I'm sorry, yeah, Gouda in the mouth, and I was chewing a little bit, and then I put some, like you said, get a little slushy going on. The Gouda was nice. It was creamy. And then you put the beer in, and then the beer overpowers it. Then once that overpowering wears off, it becomes like this nice smoky mess in your mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah, I said it, y'all.
There's always going to be like a little struggle for a second there when you're doing a pairing because your brain is like, what am I tasting right now?
Right.
Once that mellows off, that's what you're looking for, like that perfect pairing.
So our beer expert tells us that the phenols will probably cancel each other with the goat beer and the smoked Gouda.
I would have to agree. Smoked Gouda, so had I known it was a smoked Gouda, I could have told you that it wouldn't have paired as well from the start. Smoked flavors also are just can go very poorly or very well in beer pairing situations because they are sort of also on that like killing your taste buds train of things. It's the same way like I never recommend doing a blue cheese first. I would always recommend doing a blue cheese last because you're going to kind of wipe flavor profiles from your taste buds.
Gotcha.
Like having like a double dry hopped IPA, like that thing will just mess with your palate for a while. So
yeah.
Yep, and then having a triple after that. So my wife and I learned a lot about cheese from our local cheese shop, Cheese Steak. Does online cheese board tastings, have different themes, whether it's a style, place of origin, or just random cheese pairings with wine. That sounds about right, doesn't it? That
Absolutely. I know Cheese Teak. They are an awesome cheese shop.
Oh, look at that. All y'all cheese people know each other. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I don't know what that means, Doug. You started, not me.
Yeah, because it's Zach. What is a rondelle? Is that a cheese?
No, Doug, you don't star Zach stuff, you delete it. That's how we
put it right here. That's true.
Got it. You're new to this, so I wanted to let you know. Anyway, go. Did you have a question for Sarah, Doug? Or was that?
I'm too busy enjoying this cheese pairing because this is even better than the first one, and I didn't think that was going to be possible. So
Cheese Stick owner is awesome. So, Sarah, I have a cheese question for you.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, why you're here. Can you tell us the importance, or maybe not importance, can you tell us the difference between buying block cheese and shredding it at your house or buying shredded cheese?
So always buy block cheese is my recommendation for a number of reasons. So the same way you don't want to pour a beer and let it sit for too long before you drink it. you don't want to let it sit in the glass and sort of lose all the things you like about it. Is the same reason you don't want to shred a cheese and let it sit shredded. You are essentially increasing the surface area when you pre-shred something. When you increase the surface area, what you're doing is allowing the cheese to start to oxidize a lot faster, like very significantly quicker. And when you're doing that, you're losing out on flavor profile. You lose out on the nuances of flavor. Rather than grating something directly as you need it, you've allowed your cheese to maintain that moisture a lot better, because a larger brick can maintain moisture a lot better than those little shred pieces can on their own. And so if you can handle shredding your own cheese, I always recommend shredding it at home. We do sometimes offer some pre-shredded things at the shop just because I'm just as busy as the next person. I know not everyone has time to go home and shred cheese, but if I am making something, like if I'm making a mac and cheese, or I want a great cheese right into my fresh pasta, I'm always going to shred it straight at home by myself.
Okay, so you shred it per serving. So meaning you keep the block. So you shred it as much as you need for that meal, and then you put the block back in the refrigerator in a bag or something like that. And then every time you need it, you just shred it.
I would actually keep my block stored in cheese paper. So if you can get cheese paper, use cheese paper. Doug's stuff is wrapped in cheese paper because that's how we wrap all of our cheese at the shop. Cheese paper is sort of its own kind of tool that's used. Pre-shredded at the store does have anti-caking agent on it. It has flour and other preservative things to keep it from sticking to itself, which is disgusting.
Okay. Sarah, you're breaking up.
It's okay.
Am I here now?
Yeah, there.
You're here now, but we missed the last 30 seconds of what you said. We're still in the shredding thing.
Yeah. The cheese paper thing, my note on cheese paper is if I'm gonna put my block back in the fridge, I'm gonna put it back in the fridge in cheese paper, which is sort of its own substance, sort of between a parchment paper and a wax paper, that lets your cheese breathe, but without letting it breathe too much and losing too much moisture. Never store your cheese in plastic if you can help it.
It reminds me a bit of butcher paper.
Yeah, it's like almost a waxed butcher paper a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little more waxy than butcher paper, but that's what it reminds me of. But yeah, I've always if I open up a cheese or something and it's in a block, I always end up throwing it in like a baggie because your brain thinks you should throw it in a bag and it'll be fine.
Right. That's what we do. Cheese paper. Okay.
Right, so I'm going to get some of that. I know, and the thing is, my wife loves cheese, so I
love
get
cheese.
some of that. We would never.
We'd
be great. Let's use it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Update, Sarah. I did the sharp, or I did the 1 year cheddar with the oatmeal stout. Pretty good, but not as good as it was the Belgium. So pretty good though. Pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't shy away from having it out when my friends come over. I mean, and that's back to where I kind of want to go with you real quick. Is that that's fun, and I think a lot of people should almost embrace that kind of randomness, craziness. Yes, it's smart and nice to when you go to pick up some beer from Jessica Jones, Giant Jones. Jessica's behind the bar or there, and she's not busy. I'm like, Jessica, what can I pair with this? What can I pair with this? So get your experts, but don't, Sarah, would you agree with what I'm about to say, which is don't be afraid to mix it up and just have fun?
I wholeheartedly agree. I think cheese people do that a lot. We are like the culprits of being like, well, I'll just try it. What's the worst that happens? Because you won't know if it's good unless you taste it. And I think a lot of people get nervous about tasting pairings. And I think more people need to just be like, have fun, eat the cheese. Even if it's not the best pairing in the world, if you're having a good time eating it and drinking it, keep doing it.
So one of the things, I'm sorry, Doug, I will shut up after this one.
Go.
One of the things that Sarah, that one of the places that I point to when I get pairing questions, and I get them a lot actually, and because people want, people, and you probably get them a lot too, because people want to have those good experiences and they want to share that. One of the places I go to and I show everybody is craftbeer.com. Now, when you go there, as you can see, but not here, you can see they show the beer. They show the beer, so you can do it by style. So it's like, okay, I got a sour today. I did that for you, Sarah. But when you go down here, you can see fruit pairings, and it says strongly flavored cheeses. I like this as a guide because it's just a guide, of course, but also it just gives people a place when they're like, they're at your place, and it just gives them like a website that they can just quickly go to see. Are there any? Bye, Jessica. It was nice having you watch this. Jessica. Absolutely, always great to see you.
She's so freaking busy. She's so freaking busy. It's nice to actually see her pop in.
Yeah, and she agrees with what I said, so I know I'm right if Jessica says I'm right. So it's cool. But do you have any places, Sarah, that you would like to share that people could get quick, good cheese help online if they're like at a bar, they're at a brewery and they want to match, or hell, they're at your place, you're running around the counter and you can't talk. What can I pull up to like help us with cheese? Do you have any good go-tos?
Cheese.com itself is actually not a bad resource to like look up like fast fact information about cheese. But most of the time I'm gonna tell you you're better off talking to people in the cheese world. And this again goes back to like every cheese is so different. Like it's one thing to say like this brie is gonna be great. Like you're better off just asking the person behind your cheese counter. Even a grocery store cheese counter, you're better off asking the person behind because they probably tasted everything in the counter.
Okay.
Like if they're the person that cuts and preps it, they probably have a better idea of like what the flavor profile is than the internet. And also the flavor profile of cheese changes like on a day-to-day almost. And so like you want to ask the person who's like most freshly tasted whatever it is that you're looking at.
Doug?
Yeah, it basically boils down to if you know somebody who actually knows what they're talking about in that realm, you want to refer to them. Now, again, like Sarah said, you can mix and match and try stuff and just if it sucks, well then it sucks. You just don't do that one again. Like who cares? Or you might find something just absolutely amazing. Like the one I have coming up next, I am a little worried about because the style of cheese is not one that I normally eat, but we're gonna give it a go when it comes there. So
I'm good. I only have 2 beers. Because these are big ones. Well, they're not big ones. I thought I was gonna mess with these tonight, but I'm not going.
Yeah. Dude, if you open one of those other ones, that's gonna be a great after show. Let's just say, because those other ones are like 14 and 15% ABV. So like,
Sarah, this is so good though. 1 year cheddar.
Hook's cheddars are really exceptional.
So, Sarah, can you tell us real quick? And then I think, unless Doug, I think that looks like Doug trying to get to his third, and I'm interested too because he's scared about it. So, but before that, Sarah, can you talk to us about one of the things that Doug likes to do? I'm like, I don't know if he's doing it less or not. I've been seeing it less, but Doug loves to age beers. Can you tell us about the effect that aging has on cheddar cheese and why I should pay so damn much for 7-year cheddar?
So that is one of my favorite questions. Cheese aging is sort of how you let the bacteria do its job. So the more you age your cheese, the more all of the bacteria and enzymes are doing their work. But the reason you should pay so much for any cheese that's aged for even like any considerable amount of time is because cheese has to be, so like if I had a wheel of cheese, it has to get flipped like nearly every single day. So somebody has to go into the factory and flip it because otherwise it's not aging evenly. You're letting the gases sort of go to the top and you would get imperfections or flaws in your cheese. So for cheese that was aged for 7 years, it has to be kept in a like safe environment for 7 years where somebody or they have a machine that's doing it and someone is controlling the machine is flipping that wheel of cheese every day, sometimes more than once a day, to make sure that it's aging evenly. And beyond that, that cheese has to stay temperature controlled, humidity controlled, pH controlled. And so the amount of like labor that goes into an aged cheese is sort of impossible.
To even count.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so people are always like, why does the 3-year cheddar cost more than the 2-year cheddar? I'm like, because an entire year of work had to go into it.
Wow. But it's worth it though, isn't it, Sarah?
Oh, absolutely. The only thing I shy away from is some of those like 20, 30-year age things. After a certain point, you've kind of like, there's like negligible things for the enzymes to keep eating. So you're kind of better off sticking in that like 10-year range and not necessarily paying the premium for something that is
don't mind Zach, Sarah, sorry.
That is pretty hysterical, honestly.
Yeah, don't egg them on, Sarah. Just trust me on that.
Right. Doug, you had a question though on the aging, I thought.
Well, the aging thing is interesting because I just assumed it was like, oh, you just throw it in a thing and it just ages. Like you don't like when I age beers,
you throw them in the cellar.
I have a cellar. I have a fridge in my cellar that's literally a cellar fridge that I throw it in at 55 degrees. And now I get a lot of shit because it's a.
I was gonna say
because I don't.
You don't store it right.
I don't store it right. Apparently, you're supposed to just let them stand on the bottom so the sediment settles, and I have them horizontal because it's a wine fridge, and I haven't taken the time to actually set it right. So, but I enjoy doing that because I like seeing what happens to the beer later. I have a beer in my fridge right now. One of them is about 5 years old. And I'm curious to see how that comes out. Because the problem was I put in it had adjuncts in it, which adjuncts are not going to be there. But I'm wondering how boozy that shit is. But I'm fascinated that they have to have this process. Like, so, all right. So, but here's a question. There's also aging. There's cave aging.
Yeah.
All right. So is cave aging the same thing? We have to keep flipping it. But cave aging's like, it's in a cave. Like, it's different than having it like in a thing where a machine can flip it for you. You actually, that's like in a cave. It's like, I don't know. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, in America, a lot of our caves are man-made, just because we don't have natural like cavernous lands. We don't have a ton of them. There are a couple of cheesemakers lucky enough to have space near actual caverns. We don't have a ton of those. We do have like man-made caves, but yeah, there's like legitimate like underground caves that people have to go into every day to go flip cheese and like brush it and check on it and test the pH of where the cheese is at and the humidity in the room.
Wow.
So that's Sarah,
literally just wow.
Right.
But yeah. Also, the other thing about aging is so cheese actually loses weight as it ages. So because it's losing water weight, so the longer you age something, the more water is coming out of it. When you're doing that, you are essentially there's less cheese to sell at the end of a 7-year period. Because cheese is sold by weight. It's a weight-based product. And so if you age it for that long and now you've lost 14% by mass to water weight that is now missing, that you would get to get all of it in a younger, softer cheese, you have to make up that loss somehow.
And then
plus all the labor and everything, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then whoever this user is.
That's true, Axelson.
With all due respect, either way, even if it was a labor involved, the time that the cheese spends aging is where the cheese maker's not making any money too.
Yeah.
So, wow. So there's all these different, reasons, and I'm just asking why. I never really had a problem with. So then you say like, is there a value? Is there like a value area? Meaning, like, in your opinion, 5 to 6 years really gives you your bang or your buck, or 1 to 2 years, or does it depend on the cheese? Or, I mean, it's probably a lot, right?
It's a lot. It does definitely depend on the cheese. For most cheddars, I don't really go over that 5-year mark personally, just because I think and that's not to discount those older age
the
cheddars.
Bigger cheeses, right?
They're great, but if I'm gonna spend that kind of money, once I've hit that 5-year mark, we're sort of breaching into a territory of like the flavor gets pretty comparable to that 5-year mark still. I mean, you're going to get a lot harder, obviously, but for a cheddar, I just don't. You lose out on those like nuance of the like sweeter, acidic flavors from a younger cheddar that I personally enjoy in a cheddar.
One last question. It's probably not going to be the last one, but all right. One last question, so I let Doug go again. My son was grading that Gouda this Gouda.
Yeah.
And there was an outside like film on it. Is that, do we shred that? So he shredded it, and then he was like, Dad, I don't know what I'm doing. So then we Googled it, and it said it was cool. But he ended up taking that shell off and throwing it in the trash. Was that a bad move?
No, that's completely fine. Smoked cheeses usually have that like outer, you can get a little gelatinous kind of layer from just like how it's smoked. So it does depend on if something is like dry smoked, like in a cold smoke situation, or if they're using liquid smoke to smoke something or to like add that smoked flavor, how that cheese like sort of reacts to whatever is happening to it.
So it's edible is what you're saying. Go ahead.
There's literally, I don't know of any cheese that there's anything on it that would harm you to eat it.
Even like the rinds and stuff is what you're saying.
Yeah, the worst thing a rind is gonna do is pass through your bowel just unobstructed. Like people are always like, I can't eat this, and I'm like, the worst thing that happens is you're eating like food safe wax, and honestly, like it's not gonna hurt you.
And how many wax lips did we eat as kids?
Yeah, exactly. How many of those like little wax, the soda bottle candies that I don't even know that they make those anymore.
I absolutely hated those. Y'all ate that shit?
No, I was a root beer barrels guy. I like the root beer barrels candy.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Well, the Werther's, but yeah.
Well, that brings us to, we like to throw our guests loops. So right after Doug will do this, and then we'll do the third pairing. Is that cool, Doug?
That works.
Cool. Tis the season, Sarah. We'll let you go first. Here is our question of, well, not the question of the day, but Doug. What is the worst Easter candy, Sarah? What do you got? What is the worst?
Oh, this is so hard. This is so controversial. Chocolate bunnies are the worst.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Doug. Are you?
I want to hear the justification for chocolate bunnies being
right over Peeps.
I kind of like Peeps, if I'm honest.
You know what? The best part about that, Doug, is somebody has to like Peeps.
Somebody has to like Peeps. It's me.
They keep making them, so clearly people like them.
Boom. Right. So tell us why chocolate bunnies are the worst.
It's not that all chocolate bunnies are the worst, but like arguably, like I like jelly beans. I like a Cadbury cream egg, and Peeps and Robin eggs remind me of Easter, and I find them nostalgic. Chocolate bunnies are 9 times out of 10 disappointing when you bite into it and it's hollow and the chocolate tastes bad. Because unless you're getting it, so I don't feel this way now because we get our chocolate bunnies from a small chocolate maker up here, and they make them really delicious with really great high quality chocolate. But like as a child, chocolate bunnies are disappointing. It usually bad chocolate. It's like not flavorful. Doesn't taste like chocolate. Tastes like milk powder, if I'm honest. And then you bite it and it's hollow.
It is kind of underwhelming. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. Well, respectfully, this whole list is underwhelming to me.
Absolutely.
Doug, the whole list. I never really the whole list, but I'm being forced to choose here. So, but Doug, you're being forced to choose first.
All right. So Peeps are obvious. I'm going to go with Cadbury cream eggs. Those things are just so fucking sweet and like sickeningly, cloyingly sweet. I don't care for them, like just because of that. Now, Peeps, I don't like marshmallows in general, so Peeps are just their own thing for me. They're just fancy marshmallows. But the Cadbury cream egg is just I feel like I have to go to the dentist immediately if I eat one of those.
So the Cadbury cream egg, okay. Here, so there's a whole ass Peep store at the National Harbor outside of this thing.
If they have a store, you know people are buying that shit.
Right. I'm not. Hey, Well, we might shame you for what you eat here, but that's another thing for another time. Um, chocolate bunnies sometimes crumble apart, right? Like I always wanted. I'm with Sarah too. I always thought the chocolate bunnies should have something in them, like fill them with. If you fill them with fucking what peanut butter, that's a damn. Come on, Hershey's does that. I mean,
That's a
Reese's
giant
does that.
Peanut butter Reese's. That'd be great. And
Right.
also, the best is the peanut butter egg, like homemade peanut butter eggs. Oh,
wait, who the fuck makes those, Doug?
my mom.
Damn.
Homemade peanut butter eggs, and they are
Good mom.
delicious.
Good mom. That sounds delicious.
It's just a whole bunch of peanut butter wrapped in chocolate, and it just.
So, I get to answer this question so we can get out of here. But, what's the worst question? The worst for me. I know it's gonna be blasphemy. Everybody's gonna. It's funny because I don't think a lot of. I don't know. This was so controversial to me, Doug. When I saw this, I was like, "This is perfect." Because when I saw it, I didn't know what to do, and I still don't know what to do. I'm gonna piss some people off. I think and say jelly beans. I never got into jelly beans ever. It's a texture thing. I just can't do it. So even though Peeps, Doug, kind of freaked me out. Peeps are the what is it? What is the candy corn of Easter? And candy corn's another one. People bitch about it, Sarah, all day long. But you see it everywhere. And then after Halloween, there's none on the shelves.
I know who's eating it. It's my husband.
Okay. Your husband's eating all of it.
All of the candy corn. We buy candy corn in bulk. He loves that stuff.
Does he like the candy pumpkins? You know, like the ones that are like candy pumpkins?
The candy pumpkins are like bad, not on the list. Candy corn though,
it's
hugely popular in my house. That's what I said. I was told I was wrong. So
there it is, another person eating all the candy corn.
Well, he says loved. I don't know if JC is that past tense, meaning you love them and you don't anymore, or what's going on there. I think there might be more to that story. I don't know what Zach's doing. I just kind of let that go. So there's a whole thing where they're cross-pollinating every effing brand with Peeps now, and it has to go. Having Tabasco Peeps.
Stupid and funny to be funny.
Sarah, did you see they have Pepsi Peeps? Did you see that?
I did. Those make me uncomfortable. If I'm honest with you, I'm like a true traditional, the little plain Peeps. I just want to eat one pack of them every year.
Oh, okay. Like
alone
nostalgia.
By myself.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, I would like to sit around.
Shame in a closet.
I was gonna say, are you crying while you're doing this, or what's going on?
I'm probably highly possible. I'm having my little annual.
Right, a bad day at the cheese shop. Yeah. I don't know what a bad day at the cheese shop is.
It's a retail business, so I'm sure there are bad days because retail.
A bad day at a cheese shop has nothing to do with the cheese, everything to do with the people.
Right. And then on that note, Doug, do you want to go to our third? Sarah, do you have a third, or what's going on?
I do have a third. I've got lunch from Maine Beer Company.
That's a great beer.
Yeah,
lunch.
I love lunch. Actually, I love Maine Beer Company. And I'm with Timberdoodle. So this is a wash rind. So this is a little on the funkier side of things. I would describe this cheese as being nutty, but like cashew nutty. And it's like pretty full flavor, like coats your mouth, which I like with an IPA because I feel like IPAs kind of clear your palate with a little bit of brightness to them. And so you get this like mouth coating and then immediately get to clear it away with some of that brightness, sort of help cut up that flavor profile.
What kind of cheese was that again?
Timberdoodle is the name of this cheese from Woodcock Farm.
Timberdoodle. What a great name.
Yeah, it's a great name for a cheese.
And where does that fit on that cheese wheel as far as like what kind of mainstream cheese does it relate to? Like Gouda or something?
No. So the style of cheese that this would be the most comparable to that most people would know, but this is nowhere near to the same level of stink, would be Limburger.
Oh, okay.
So it's a softer cheese with a rind.
Softer, washed. It's a washed rind, meaning they literally wash the rind. So they put some kind of brine solution on it to let this bacteria grow. And so they can come out super funky, like Taleggio's and Limburgers, or a little bit more mild, like Timberdoodle here.
That is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Doug?
All right. So I don't know if you saw in the beer group, Greg, or maybe I did in a private chat where my wife went into my beer fridge and grabbed a beer out of the fridge that she wanted, not realizing it was one I was saving for the show. But because it was an $11 bottle of beer. And it's this beer, which I just picked it up. Wake Up Worldwide Stout. This is a coffee Worldwide Stout. Worldwide Stout is a giant ABV beer. This is a 15.3% beer. But since my wife drank it, I had to get another one. And you wanted me to pair this cheese with a coffee stout. So I went big on the coffee stout. And what she suggested was Bailey Hazen Blue, which is a blue cheese, which I am generally not a fan of blue cheese. But you suggested it, so I'm going to keep an open mind and go at it. So, yeah, give me a moment to unwrap it from the cheese paper.
So while you unwrap it, I will explain why I love this pairing so much.
So I want to show it before it falls out of the paper here. Hold on. So this is what it looks like with the blue cheese. It's not crumbly. So it has a bit of a rind on the back there.
And I see some blue.
Yeah, you do. And what I've always had a problem with blue cheese is like that almost, but funkiness in a weird way. It always smelled weird. This doesn't smell like it. But blue cheese, like sometimes almost smell like something was dead. But this doesn't smell like this at all. It's like it's a funkiness that is really, really interesting. So I'm gonna open.
I agree with JG. It looks good from there. Yeah.
It smells fantastic, which, like I said, I was not expecting. I was expecting to smell like every other blue cheese, which is my downfall of being like not being open-minded. So I apologize for that. But
I kind of like the stank. I know Sarah probably does.
I love it.
Like the stank. I like how you gave it some soul there. So there's the beer, nice little dark thingy.
Is that do you find that to be true, Sarah? It's mushroomy.
Blue cheeses can be mushroomy, but not all. That's not necessarily the case with all blue cheese. I think a lot of times people just think of blue cheese as just like one specific kind of like that pre-crumbled stuff that you get, and that is not. The blue is Bailey Hazen Blue. We're trying.
Yeah, I'll put it in the thing in a minute. So
yeah, but I don't think that it has to be mushroomy. Not all blue cheeses are.
No, this isn't. This doesn't have that whole stank on it as much like you said, the crumbly stuff that you get, which is like it's off-putting to me. This is not off-putting.
Pre-crumbled has a lot of the same issues that pre-shredded has. Which is why they get that like super stinky, like almost ammonia, like Windexy smell, which is usually a sign your cheese has gone off.
Well, look at Doug's face.
Wow, that cuts that like really super well. Like the cheese is a little really funky on the tongue, and we just put beer in it, like kind of mellows at the funkiness, but puts all that tang like fucking straight in your palate. Like I wasn't expecting that at all. Like that was
fun.
Really superbly good. And you mentioned that it was a coffee stout that you mentioned specifically that as opposed to a stout. Why a coffee stout over that?
So I like the richness and that roasted note you get on a coffee stout more so. You get that like roast bean flavor on the coffee stout that I think really plays into that. Like the roasted notes really play into those like funkier notes on blue cheese. I really like that Bailey Hazen Blue specifically has almost a bit of a white chocolate flavor profile to it. And that's to say that like fat content has a little bit of sweetness to it. The same way white chocolate, which is mostly fat, has a little bit of sweetness to it. And I think it together, you get this like funky latte kind of situation.
Yeah,
really cool.
It's unexpectedly like like good and like I know Jill would freaking love this. So like, I was texting her when I was doing all these samplings, although she's probably asleep by now. But so we're gonna do another pairing. I'm gonna get a kind of a less heavy coffee stout. It was the only one I could find where I was going at the bottle shop. So, but
Sarah, don't feel you have to answer this craziness.
That sounds like a perfect pairing. Honestly, I've been known to have a cheese stick, a Slim Jim, and a Bud Light. So whatever you're into.
And I'm gonna make this goofy location comment. Since y'all are the home of buffalo wings, y'all blue cheese better be good.
Yeah.
We're
serious about blue cheese up here.
Lauren jumped in, but late.
Doug, don't you like? Apparently not, right? You're not doing the blue cheese with the wings.
I am not when I like wings, I am not a buffalo style wing fan. I like things like sweet Asian and garlic parm. Those are the kind of wings I gravitate toward.
But what if you have buffalo? Would you dip it in the blue cheese?
No, I don't eat them with any cheese. I don't. Now with something like that, I want to try that with a wing. Now I want to see how that is. That would be super interesting to have it with.
But like everybody's saying, I think it generally has to be good blue cheese. But I used to didn't like that at all, Doug. And then I tried it a couple times, and I'm like, damn, that pops. That buffalo and cheese. It's just, again, somebody was doing something right. It's amazing. And yeah, Doug, Lauren's a sweet Asian.
Yes, she is. You are our sweet Asian, Lauren. Thank you.
But
Lauren's the freaking best.
So yeah, blue cheese and buffalo wings is another wonderful cheese thing. I had a question, but I forgot. But I totally forgot. I had something good too, Doug. I'm getting too old for this. But Doug you turned Doug on to blue cheese, and he doesn't like that shit.
That cheese is fucking excellent. So maybe
Doug,
blue cheese I need.
Or maybe
really
again,
good.
maybe. But Doug, maybe it's what we're talking about, which is you may have had bad blue cheese or lower quality blue cheese. How about that? And then you didn't, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like, there's a lot of that going on where people will try some low quality product with all due respect, and then assume that that's, like kind of paint that across the board. You know what I mean, Sarah? And you probably deal with a lot, because Doug and I deal with that, being an inspired beer expert, knowing about beer, going to a couple beer schools. I know a lot about beer. And when I talk to people about it, and it's just like, y'all just didn't, you just come to Giant Jones with me. And the lady of this house does not like beer, but she will go and drink Giant Jones beer. So she says she doesn't like beer, but when we go to Giant Jones, she's like, oh, give me a sip. And it's cool. And so it's about quality, not quantity. And it's about making, if you really want to give a good effort, because the cheese industry, the beer industry, excuse my language, but the shit's just out of control with the number of choices and people making good stuff. I mean, is that would you say I'm right as far as the cheese industry, at least? You know pretty much about the beer industry. Don't slouch yourself. You may not be an expert, but I'm hearing a lot of really smart things. So you're picking up a lot doing your parents. I'm just like,
anytime I get an opportunity to learn from somebody who is knows their craft, I am cataloging all of the information they have down in my brain as best as I can.
So Lauren, you're going to want to reset that for sure. Also, this is what I wanted to remember. Daniel Fisher. I am not sure if you heard Sarah talking about the lactose quantity in cheese. Once this is over, go back to the first half an hour. I think you might have missed it because you weren't commenting. But Sarah, unless Sarah wants to repeat herself, which I'm not going to make her, but if she wants to, that's cool. But she's saying that there's not much lactose in cheese, brother.
There is not. I'll give you the quick notes, Spark Notes version. There's not much cheese left. There's not much lactose left in cheese. The process of making cheese is converting lactose to lactic acid. And so by definition, cheese will have less lactose than milk.
Wow. Yep. Okay. So he knows. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Just wanted him to know that. All right, cool. What's going on, Doug? I've been talking too much.
You have not been talking too much. This is the thing: is we're talking to somebody that's in a realm that we know very little about. This is the best part of this kind of thing. Like when I went up and we were talking to Sarah, I was like, "This show's gonna be fucking great because Sarah knows what she's talking about. She likes talking about this stuff. You're an extrovert like me, which is funny because we were talking about because Jill's an introvert and your husband's an introvert, and we're the extroverts of the couple. And this is the thing. It's like having folks that come in from these different things, different places. You know, I mean, Greg, how many people have we had that just come in from different things that we didn't expect? Like we've had a couple of sex experts on here. Like we've had, like it's just been just weird, awesome people coming in and telling us about what they know about. And how do we learn anything? How do we know anything if we don't talk to people that know what the fuck they're talking about? Because I don't know shit. I'm a dumbass. So like I want people to come on here and tell me like what's good. Like that's why I was a little worried because of blue cheese, and goddamn, that was excellent. So thank you, Sarah. That was like an unexpected gift. Like really.
Again, that was. Oh, I'm sorry. And again, that was blue cheese and what style beer?
Coffee stout. It sounds like it shouldn't work, and it fucking totally does.
It works really well.
I'm looking at both y'all side eye, but I'm probably going to run out and try it this weekend. So.
Greg, please, and get good blue cheese though. Like as Sarah said, don't get that shit that we're normally used to.
Yeah, chocolate. Don't get Sarah started. She could probably hit you with that too. Also, let me ask Sarah. Actually, Zach, you led us to a great question, buddy. Look at you. High five. We know that you like to pair cheese and beer.
Yeah.
What else pairs with cheese if we want to mess around? I mean, have you done anything silly like soda and cheese or wine and cheese, obvious. I don't even really want to bring that one up because that's so obvious. And really, that's probably the one that like started all this pairing. It's probably the OG, right, Sarah? Where like people just start, with the fancy pairing and wine dinners with cheese and all that. But what else can we pair with cheese besides hamburgers?
Everything. I actually think beer pairs better than wine with cheese, personally. Just because the like fermentation aspect of beer and this like carbonation does a lot for the cheese. But I've actually we've done Girl Scout cookies and cheese pairings. We've done whiskey and cheese. I'm trying to get a gin and cheese pairing on my books because I love gin.
I can talk to you about gin and scotch.
We've done some like liquors and cheeses, cocktail pairings and cheese. We did a Halloween candy pairings and cheese, which was very fun. Pretty much if you can eat it, I have tried to pair something with it. And we do regular pairing things about once a month at the shop. We open the shop up for what we call a late night cheese event. They're not very late. They're like I'm old and I need to be in bed by 10 p.m. kind of late night.
I was gonna say, right?
Yeah, it's like my kind of late night. You know what I mean? Like it starts at 7, ends by 9. Everyone's home at 10 and in bed. But we do all sorts of different pairings, and so I'll pull out jams and pickles and honeys and pretty much anything we can think of at the shop to pair with cheeses.
How about Richard Cheese? I love Richard Cheese. Doug, I don't know if you ever heard Richard Cheese. He's great. Primus sucks. JHG. So I got the Salem seasoned cheese.
That's a take. Primus sucks.
Primus sucks. Absolutely, Primus does suck.
There's like
right, exactly. Primus fans knows what that means. It's an activator. Cookies and candy and cheese.
Fun. So fun. Girl Scout cookies and cheese are such fun pairings. You could Google Girl Scout cookie pairings and cheese. They do come up. They're really so fun. A good Gouda with a Samoa is delicious.
There's rumors going around about you.
That I would never. First of all, I don't eat crumble cookies. I take no offense to the crumble cookie and cheesing. I don't eat crumble cookies.
They're like crazy expensive though, aren't they?
Yeah, I also just I live in an area where we've got like 75 small local bakeries.
Right.
And for
Right.
the same price, I could do a lot better than a crumble
Right.
cookie.
Right. Zach, the truth is Zach puts a slice of pepper jack on his crumble cookie. He's not.
Each their own, whatever you're into.
That's fair.
Right. Lauren nailed it before I even got there. Right. Jerry was a race car driver. Don't sing it.
Yeah. I'm not going to. So
I am, unfortunately.
I have a cheese question though for Sarah, and this is so I'm going to give you a cheese that I just stumbled into at a Wegmans that I absolutely love, and I've only ever found it there. And I'm going to completely butcher the name. It's GJETOST. Yetoast.
Yeah.
I fucking love that cheese. It's like this caramel flavored cheese. And
what?
Like with apples, it's goddamn awesome. Like it's like I don't know. For me, I just love that shit. Like, what is a cheese that's like this off the beaten path cheese that you like, Sarah, that like most people might not have stumbled into?
Oh, I love so many off the beaten path cheeses. That's sort of my like
your wheelhouse.
Niche. Yeah, that's like where I'm hanging out in those like weird cheese bits. Most people that unless you have like a shop near you probably haven't gotten into spruce bark wrapped raw milk cheeses, which are sort of my favorites. So that's once a year, cheesemakers come out with these because they are sort of hard to make and there's a lot of laws around them. But Winnemere is one of my favorites from Jasper Hill. That is a like big spruce bark wrapped soft ripened cheese.
And I think you had that when we were there, but we didn't try it for some dumb reason.
It is like insanely delicious. It's raw milk, so it's funky and weird, or funky and weirder than pasteurized milk. And you get this like intense depth of flavor. And then it's spruce bark wrapped, so you get this like woodsy, bacony flavor from it being like bark wrapped. That is just like pretty phenomenal. Those are kind of one of my like favorite styles of cheese. But an interesting fact about Yetoast is that it's not actually cheese.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, because it's a whey-based product, so it's made from whey and not cheese.
But it clearly has cheese-like qualities.
It's got like the texture of it to me.
It's definitely people would consider it a cheese. It's the same way we consider American cheese, and American cheese isn't actually cheese. And also most ricotta, like traditional ricotta, is made from whey and not milk. And so also would be in that same category as Yetoast. Yetoast was designed as like a skiing snack.
It's so good, Greg. If you can't find it in Wisconsin, and you should, because there's a million Scandinavian people in the Midwest, so you should be able to find that shit somewhere. It's so fucking good. And slice it and put it with sliced apples, and you will be a happy man. I'm promising you.
It's also great on toast with jelly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to have to try that. Is there a particular kind of toast? Like, does you need like does it have to be white bread? Does it be wheat or like?
I mostly just eat wheat bread or like sourdough personally. And I almost always have like a strawberry jelly with it. I'm not like a grape jelly person, but
no,
Lauren, no, we do not consider
no
cheese.
Like JC answered no, exactly. No. Lauren has also did we already cover cheeses mold? So moldy cheeses, okay?
Moldy cheese is almost normally okay, yes. If it's a mold that is commonly there, like white or blue, and you see it on cheese, it's probably fine. The only time to be concerned for cheese is if you see a mold that does not look like what was originally on that piece of cheese. And that's to say, like, if I saw like a bright red mold growing on my Gruyere, I'd be a little concerned. But that's pretty rare. If you have a hard cheese that has mold growing where you don't want it to grow, just scrape it off and eat that cheese anyway. It is a totally safe to eat food product.
Boom! Because that happened this week. That literally happened this week in my house. The mold was green. I just told my son just to cut it off, and he looks at me like, "What?" I'm like, "Cheese is mold, yo."
Yeah, you don't even need to cut it off. You can literally scrape it. So it's called facing a cheese, and it's like where you're gonna drag your knife onto the cheese and face it. So you could literally just scrape the mold right off and still eat the cheese.
Right.
Okay. What about if you have like, and this is going to get, we do a lot of sliced cheese here, which is, I know that's not the recommended thing, but if you see mold on that, obviously, like we generally will like, do you toss that like the whole thing?
Yeah. Unfortunately,
because of
sliced cheese, you do have to toss the whole thing.
Okay, great. That's what I thought. I didn't want to be, all right. So growing up poor, it's like, I feel like that's wasting food. And that just drives me bananas. But like, it's also like, I don't want people to get sick. So it's
yeah,
like,
the issue with soft cheese is with pre-sliced cheese is we're talking about like the surface area again. Like the mold can penetrate too deep too quickly on a piece of cheese that is sliced.
Gotcha. Unless y'all have something to watch, I think we should wrap soon. What do you think, Doug?
yeah. I didn't mention this, Sarah, that we sometimes do. Are you watching anything? I do have something I want to talk about that, but Sarah, you don't have to have anything if you don't want to.
Yeah, we're putting you on the spot here.
Do you have anything you're
watching?
watching?
Have anything? Yeah, anything compelling you're watching?
I'm watching Shrinking.
Hold on.
Oh, that's a good one. I heard.
Yeah.
Look, I spent 20 minutes making a damn transition. I want to play it.
I like that.
But anyway, Sarah, yeah, we do. What are you watching? Just as something, that's fun, and we always have guests. So Doug watches a shitload of TV, but he doesn't binge. I don't know. Talk to him about that. But we like to gain what our guests like, because sometimes y'all will say shit that we didn't even know, and we're like, bam. So, what are you watching, Sarah?
I am watching Shrinking on Apple TV right now. Yeah.
Harrison
I'm
Ford.
really enjoying it.
Oh, so it's about a shrink.
Yeah. Great cast.
Oh, really? And what does Harrison Ford do? What does Harrison Ford do besides be old and cranky like he is? Well, he is. Am I wrong, Doug?
Generally speaking, but Sarah, like, what's Harrison Ford doing in that?
Harrison Ford is he's a psychotherapist in Shrinking.
Oh, he's the actual therapist. Okay.
He is one of so he actually owns the like therapy practice that Jason Segel is a therapist at.
Gotcha. And you want to say a little more about it, or are you good? What's good about it?
Honestly, everything. The cast is really hysterical. I like that it's like a little emotional and a little silly all at the same time. And it's just kind of something fun and different to watch. I feel like I've been watching a lot of the same. I feel like we're seeing a lot of the same shows coming out like every 6 months. I feel like I'm watching a different variation of the same thing. This one I feel like is a pretty different plot line.
Cool. All right. Doug, you heard about that one?
I did. I heard nothing but good things. I heard Harrison Ford's really good in it, which is funny because
he's good.
He's just a curmudgeon, though. Like it's like
now he is. Yeah,
his character is a curmudgeon.
Okay.
His character is a curmudgeon, and I forget what he has. I think he has Parkinson's or something. And they're like all trying to care for this like old curmudgeon-y guy, and he's trying to care for all of them in his own curmudgeon-y kind of way.
Yeah, Apple TV has some really great variety. I have it, Doug, but I haven't touched it. We got it for MLS for soccer, so I haven't touched Apple TV yet. So it's this there for the taking.
Yep,
there's a bunch there though.
Yeah.
What do you got, Doug? That sounds fun.
Yeah, and I'm actually on Apple Plus for this one too. I'm watching this, which is the silliest. Eugene Levy traveling to like weird places is funny because he just doesn't like going away from his house. In the first episode, he goes to Finland into the Arctic Circle, which is like just great because he's like in the middle of this cold. But he's like, I don't like it when it's, and he's like, I don't like it's really cold. I'm uncomfortable when it's really hot. I'm uncomfortable. But he goes to this place and they like take him ice fishing and they have him go to like a reindeer farm. He eats reindeer for the first time, and like there's a very Finnish thing where they do a tent and they cook this reindeer steaks on like these grills in a tent. Looks almost like what we would look at as it's like a teepee in U.S. It's just great. Like he's a curmudgeon too, but he just like kind of embraces being a curmudgeon, and like it's very lighthearted fare. You're just gonna go and just enjoy him being his kind of cranky self.
Cool. I love it too. And the reason I call Harrison Ford a curmudgeon this time, Doug, is because I don't. And I'm going to open it up to you, and this could be our last question. I like it. So my kids mock Indiana Jones, or at least my youngest mocks Indiana Jones. He thinks he just doesn't get it.
Well, he's also sort of a contrarian, as I remember. So
he absolutely is. But at the same time, there's this disconnect between our younger group and like older movies, and they just can't. A lot of them don't translate. Now, my kid, like Jaws translated for my sons, but Indiana Jones didn't. My question for everybody is, Sarah, you're familiar with Indiana Jones. I mean, we all grew up.
I
with
love
that.
Indiana Jones.
Harrison Ford has stated that no one else should pay Indiana Jones, and the franchise should die with him. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah. I I'm going to be honest. I feel that way about a lot of those old movies. I don't want to see a reboot because they're going to do something that I'm not going to like. I don't want to see Indiana Jones with an iPhone.
I have I have a contrarian take on that. Here's what I want to see. I want to see Indiana Jones morph into Nick Cage's character from National Treasure. That's what I want to see. I want to see that ridiculousness just fucking go just completely off the deep end and do that.
You want to see like chaos Indiana Jones.
Yes. Chaos Indiana Jones.
That could be its own separate thing. Like I want to see, I would watch that, but I don't think it needs to be Indiana Jones. Like I want to watch like an iteration of an Indiana Jones like side situation.
So if y'all silly people had y'all way, Doug, or no, I'm sorry, Sarah's the only silly person, I think, actually. Doug, I don't know if you signed off on that. But if Sarah would have her way, Doug, we wouldn't have got the Dark Knight series out of Batman. Am I wrong? Because you got to leave the original and you can't change it? Or where are you at, Sarah? Or is it just some movies that have that? You don't want to see any remakes, or you feel that there's just some that you shouldn't fuck with?
No, like, there's some you shouldn't. There's some that I think are just like we can let them live and be their own unique thing. Like Harry Potter is getting another reboot. I don't know if you guys saw that in the news. Yeah, they're getting like a 7-part TV series, which means like that in my lifetime there will have been like all of the books that came out, all of the movies have come out, all of the off-booted things about the
purple.
Yeah, I don't know why I turned purple.
Well, it's better than being blue, baba-dee, baba-da. So, yeah.
She looks like our friend Mallory O'Meara.
I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
It's okay. We can still hear you, so it's okay. We'll just accept you as purple. We accept it.
I think we haven't seen like enough new original stuff coming out. And I love Batman, don't get me wrong, but there's also been like how many Batmans in the last 20 years?
Correct. And some of them haven't been good. But Sarah, I was just, and I'm just trying to be contrarian because I'm pissed off that they rebooted White Man Can't Jump. That was a perfect movie that needed to stay back in the 90s or the 80s or wherever it came from. It was perfect the way it was with Rosie Perez, Woody Harrelson. Who's the black guy in it, Doug?
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes.
Who is a terrible basketball player, but Woody Harrelson was great.
Whatever. The movie was great. I don't give a fuck. And y'all shouldn't be doing it with Jack Harlow, and it's just going to be a damn mess. So I agree with you, Sarah, on some level. I just think that I love the Indiana Jones story, and I just don't want it to end with Harrison. And I like Harrison. He's great. He was great. Han Solo, Indy, The Fugitive. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm not even trying to assail Mr. Harrison Ford, even though he's a grumpy old man. I'm a grumpy middle-aged old man. So I understand the grump part, and I understand the curmudgeon part, and I understand not wanting to leave your house part. But yeah, so on that note, since Sarah has turned purple,
Purple.
We are going to get her at least off screen, and we're going to thank her for spending 2 wonderful hours with us. We are way smarter. I don't know if we're going to remember it, Sarah, so we might have to have you back next year so you can teach the old men about cheese again, because we'll probably forget half of the shit. We'll need the parents, but we're probably definitely going to forget half the shit. I can't even say it. We're going to forget half the shit that she just told us, Doug. It's going to be Thursday, and I'm like, what did Sarah tell us? But luckily, we can rewind like everybody else. But Sarah, we want to thank you for bringing your knowledge and your wonderful personality. And now we're friends because Doug visited you a couple times. So you would pair well with cheese. That's great.
I do pair well with cheese.
Did Sarah go vaporwave?
I don't know what vaporwave is, but
I don't even know what happened. And honestly, like, I'm so not tech savvy enough. I was like, I'm just not going to touch anything.
I have no idea.
It's kind of interesting because we can hear you fine. It's not like you're lagging or anything. It's just something went funky.
Yeah, and we've had people change wardrobes on the stream, but we've never seen anybody go purple.
Yeah, this was a new one even for me. I do like quite a bit of Zoom situation stuff for work. I've never turned purple before, but
Sarah,
special for this occasion, I turned purple.
Beautiful. And we are serious about, or at least I'm serious. I know Doug is. We're serious about having you back. Because we could do something else. The palette is open, and we want to make sure everybody knows about the Curd Nerd. Tell us where you're at, when you're open, how do we get a hold of you? Do you ship? Doug was talking about shipping cheese, and
no, I was gonna buy stuff and ship it to you. And Craig's like, no.
My point is that he was gonna ship cheese to me. So is that possible? Tell us all about the Curd Nerd on your way out of here.
So the Curd Nerd, we are located right in Syracuse, New York. We're in the village of Eastwood. We are open Wednesday through Sunday every week, 10 to 6 Wednesday through Saturday, and 10 to 4 on Sundays. You can find me on social media at the Curd Nerd Syracuse on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm at the Curd Nerd _SYR. You can find me on TikTok at the Curd Nerd.
Doug found you.
Yeah, Doug did find me. We do not ship yet, but hopefully we will start to soon. We are working on the logistics and hopefully finding a way to get some cheese shipped out from the shop.
So real quick though, if we can't get the Curd Nerd sent to us. What are some tips as far as either people experimenting with cheese, or just look up your local cheese person, or how do you tell people to navigate cheese?
First of all, I always recommend finding local over shipping if you can. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there probably is some sort of access to cheese not that far from them. Develop a relationship with the person that works behind your counter. It's the best way to find them. Find the foodies in your area who know something about cheese, and kind of stick to them. And if not, there's a ton of really awesome resources on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff of people who are educating about cheese. Listen to what they have to say, follow them, and then try to find the cheese that they are talking about.
Gotcha. So even like cheese, I wouldn't say cheese deserts, but I wouldn't assume that places like Arizona and New Mexico would have a lot of great cheeses, but I'm wrong, right?
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Okay. And Zach has a request here. He wants your husband to come on and talk about candy corn.
He would love to. Actually, just kidding. He'd probably hate it. He truly is an introvert. The idea of sitting on camera and talking about anything for any length of time, he'd be like, "Don't make me do that."
Keep those two.
My wife, she'd be like, "No, thank you. I will go free."
Yeah.
Right. Little known secret. I tried to recruit Doug's wife to be on the stream. Doug, no, everybody remembers this, or no? Doug and Joe remember it, but Zach, we're going to skip that there, right? Real quick, any West Coast cheese friends? I have some research to do.
So many.
Lauren, I'm sorry, real quick. Lauren, put him where you are real quick.
San Francisco.
And then Sarah can help you.
I am not 100% sure where Lady and Larder is located, but Lady and Larder, I think, is in that area. There are definitely cheese shops out in San Francisco. You just like search San Francisco cheese shops. First of all, California's got the California Cheese Trail you could go on. And they would definitely connect you.
Yeah. What?
There's a Wisconsin cheese trail too, Greg. So there's one in New York,
what?
Central New York cheese trail for Doug and I.
Headed
right,
over to Google right now.
Yeah.
So Sarah, I'm gonna hit you up, and we're gonna do a cheese trail for New York, and Jill's gonna be like all in. I will be the
100%.
designated driver while you guys go into a cheese coma. It'll be great.
My favorite kind of day.
Wow. Well, Sarah, did we cut you off a little bit at the end there? So did you get everything out about the Curd Nerd?
Absolutely. I am all set. Thank you guys so much for having me on. This was a blast.
Yeah, Lauren. Look at that. Let's go, Lauren. Let's go. How did I not know this? I mean, I'm with you. I didn't know about the Wisconsin one, Lauren. So I'm over here bragging about my cheese and what am I doing here? Having my kids take pictures so everybody could see my cheese. And I didn't even know there was a trail, Lauren. So I'm with you. We're both gonna jump in, but while I'm rambling off and babbling here, we're gonna let Sarah go, Doug.
Yeah.
Last time, Doug, you get the final word with Sarah. Sarah, thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
So Sarah, like I said, we do have a little bit of a hangout up here. If you're interested, if you want to go to bed, totally understandable. Just again, thank you for jumping on. I am serious about doing a cheese trail with you because I know that would be fucking awesome. I will find a way to make sure your husband doesn't feel awkward about it. I promise. I'm good at that.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's along for the ride.
Yeah. And I'll talk to him about beer. It'll be fine. Like we'll be good on that. So yeah, thanks again. And like Greg said, we'd love to have you on again. And that will give me an opportunity to come up and buy more cheese from you. So I'm not sad about that at all.
And tell your hubby the tech stack.
Not gonna give his number or anything. Just text him.
Right. Just text him. Let's go.
Your answer there. I am definitely off to bed. Saturdays are our early morning, and it is a holiday weekend for me, so I've got to go crank out cheese boards like at 6 a.m.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. So all right, let's let you go.
How many?
I have no idea. A lot. It's how
you didn't see the order yet.
Cheese board when we can make it for you.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So thanks, Sarah. Don't work too hard. Have a great weekend.
Hey, get some
you guys
rest.
have a good one.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye.
Wow, that was interesting and fun and cool.
Yeah, I learned a lot out of that I wasn't expecting to learn.
How much are you going to remember, though?
Not as much as I would like.
51-year-old
51-year-old brain is not as great as it should be, you know?
I had two of my local favorites. I had Burgeoning Goth Queen, which, Doug, you will eventually get. I'm not going to drink anymore. I think I have 4 more, so I'm going to distribute that. JG and Lauren are also my targets for this one once I get
what a great label on that too.
Look at those eyes, man. Look at that.
Very like a Wednesday Addams or Morticia.
Yes,
Addams, right?
absolutely. The Addams Family. And I told Jim that. I was like, that's very Addams Family-ish. It's almost like that. Look at the eyes are just popping. I was like, dude, whoever your artist is, man, kudos to that. And then, of course, Giant Jones. This is an older beer from last year. It still tastes great, and it paired wonderful with that with the cheddar. And then this paired really, really nice with Gouda. What's up, Doug?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, the IPA I had, which was with the Old Man Cheddar, the IPA was old. That sucked. But I'm going to tell you, the IPA and the cheddar was super duper good. I will say that I'm going with the pairings as a comparison here.
Yeah.
So the Wake Up World, which is a great beer, with the blue cheese was super duper surprising and phenomenal. I was really surprised how well that went with the blue cheese that she recommended. But my favorite pairing was the Young Lion Raspberry Sour with God, I can't remember what the beer was. It was a Boucheron. So it was like a soft cheese with the rind. Oh man, that was outstanding. That was just so damn good, and the beer was good too. So
Yeah, you really like that. You also really like that blue cheese. That was
the
cool
blue
to
cheese and
see.
the stout was. I'm going to tell you, it was a difficult choice between the blue cheese and the stout, and the raspberry sour with the Boucheron. That was just fucking amazing. That was wow.
Blue cheese and the stout. It just, I'm like,
It's when she told me that was a coffee stout, I was like, that
you would have
sounds
never,
terrible.
you would have never done that if not for
Never
her.
in a million
Ever,
years.
ever,
Never.
ever, ever. Correct. I wouldn't have done it either. Right. So that's why it was good for you to have quote expert opinions, and that was why it was cool that y'all did that. And then it was cool that I did the way I did it, which was like, this Adam Hot,
Yeah, in a different way.
off
Like
the
that's the
cuff.
thing is, like
Well,
she said,
just
try shit.
off the cuff. Well, off the cuff, and a lot of times off the cuff is what you have to do. A lot of times you don't get those, invites that your friends are coming over, or that in your case, your kids bring over friends, and oh, you didn't tell us that you were bringing over friends. Shit, you just got to put something together,
Yeah.
even if it's not beer, even if it's just cheese. It's still, it's just still nice to. Yeah. Look at JHG is all over that. JHG, you should be all over that because we know you like coffee stouts. So all you got to do is add a little blue cheese. Obviously, make sure it's good blue cheese. I'm excited and scared to try. Yeah. And we got good people, man. So if y'all are really, Doug still has a line to Sarah, I believe. I have a line to Giant Jones. Y'all have a direct line to Giant Jones, because you can just go to their go to the Facebook page. They're very responsive. Say, hey, I got a question for Jessica. She will respond to you. She's awesome, and she really is. As y'all saw Jessica Jones on our stream. Jessica Jones, at the end of the day, yes, she's a brewer, but she's a teacher. She wants to teach. She wants people to have knowledge. She's a great person that way. So use our resources, y'all. You're not the first woman to say that in the room with me. Wait.
Do we really need to go ahead and put it?
Ooh, JC loves coffee stouts and blue cheese, so he's gonna love it.
I'm gonna
You
tell
should
you,
love
man,
that
try that together. I'm just telling you, get a good blue cheese. It didn't sound at all when she's like, try this blue cheese with a coffee stout. And I was like, that sounds fucking terrible. That sounds terrible.
If she wasn't an expert, I would say no.
Yeah. And she was like, no, trust me, it's really good. And I was like, all right, I'm trusting you. You know the shit. I don't. That was superb.
And lastly, Lauren brings up a good point. We should just have an entire chaos.
We definitely should do this. Just a chaos reboot. Like I said, doing the Indiana Jones with fucking goddamn Nick Cage from National Treasure.
Okay.
I know that sounds dumb. I'm just telling you, that would be the dumbest, awesomest fucking mashup. Just dumb, but awesome.
My kids think Indiana Jones is dumb, so it's fine. But Sarah did have a point. Like, nobody think about it. Think about in 20 years, they're like, we're going to reboot the Return of the Jedi Star Wars. That doesn't sound right.
No.
Like, never going. You know what I'm saying? Some things should just be left. So JHG last call here are gonna get a good blue from Chesapeake. That sounds fun. Hey, JHG, let us know. Especially let Doug know. He's very passionate about it. Clearly, so he'll want to know what you have to say about that, of course. And obviously, JHG, you know how to get a hold of Doug.
What?
Every day. But lastly, Doug, our next week's guest is someone who was here before. He knows a lot about alcohol, specifically scotches and whiskeys. His name is Fred Swanson. Returns.
That's right.
Yes. We're going to talk about the Still America, which is his little liquor little festival that so little inside ball real quick. The Still America is the same weekend as Lager and Friends. Lager and Friends is in Milwaukee. I want to go to that. The lady of the house wants to go to the Still America. So we're going to have to decide. We can't be in two places at once. I mean, we could, but I would have to drive from Milwaukee after drinking beer all day. That's just a nonstop.
That sounds like not a fun drive.
Well, it's not. It's a non-starter. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So either my family has to go with me to Lager and Friends, or we stay here and I take lady of the house to Still America. But that's but Fred will tell us all about that next week. Fred is fascinating, fun, part of the home brew club. So we'll talk about that too. Yeah, Doug. So that's next week. Good times. Hopefully have a great
holiday weekend if you celebrate.
you're being nicer than I was gonna be.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna. You can do the zombie.
yeah, we should end on a positive note.
Yep.
And then I'll tell you what I was gonna say in post production.
All right.
So
Everybody, thanks for joining us as usual. Yeah, we love having you guys comment and just make the show fun. So thank you guys. And
Hey.
yeah, we'll definitely see if we can get Sarah on again because cheese pairing and beer is fucking great. I didn't really think of it, but it's so good.
No, next time we're gonna do Girl Scout cookies or some shit. And cheese. Anyway, thank y'all for being y'all. Yup. And we will see y'all next week with Fred. Cheers.
Yep. Cheers.
Oh shit. We've never done this before, but we're gonna do it now. What's up, Doug? I completely forgot to plug my new thing next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not good at plugging things or sorry.
Who cares? We swear all the time. Who gives a shit?
No. Plugging, get it plugging and
Pegging.
anyway,
plugging.
I'm trying to take the high road today, Doug, and you're not letting me. It's your fault. And I just saw it I just saw it for those who are still here. I just saw it in the promos. Next week we're starting. So we do libation and lost days, which y'all know. We all should know every second Wednesday of the month, and that's a gaming stream with Rod and Steve and Matt and Art Eddie, all those wonderful guys, Victor and Gil. But I'm starting a Twitter Space series that I will eventually move to Spottable once we can get off of.
Once we can get there, yeah.
But I love the format of Twitter Spaces, man. I just love the audio format. I just love how it is. So we're gonna do a game and sip show. Me and my friend, unapologetically black, she calls herself on Twitter, and my friend Stephen Biko. We're doing a Twitter Space next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. As y'all can see, it's a rolling conversation, including gaming news, libations, and what y'all are playing. Kind of like this, probably more goofier. I know less about gaming than I know about beer, but it will be fun. So join me. I also am starting up. I opened up my speakeasy space, as I call it, Doug, on Saturday nights. So tomorrow night, about 9 Eastern, I will open up the speakeasy and we talk dumb shit like sugar on grits and what celebrity you think is good in bed. Those were literally the topics last week. So I come up with dumb shit, but we don't talk about politics and religion because I don't want fights in my speakeasy. Okay. I only employ one bouncer. I have one person working behind the bar with me, Doug, and I'm not looking to fight or break up fights. So don't talk politics. We talk around politics. There's enough politics spaces on Twitter for y'all to go in. Mine doesn't have to be one of them. I can talk politics here. I just don't want to talk about that there. So I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm actually doing something different. I do a whole bunch of different things. I never plug them. So I wanted to take the time to do that. So now we're out. We'll see you next week with Fred.
Cheers, folks.
Yep. And I'm going to start this bitch again.